One Storyteller presents a gripping tale that delves into the complexities of human prejudice and the unexpected twists of fate that can change lives in an instant. In today's world, where racial tensions continue to simmer beneath the surface of our daily interactions, this story serves as both a cautionary tale and a testament to the power of justice and redemption. Welcome to One Storyteller, where every narrative unfolds with authenticity and purpose, capturing the essence of human experience through compelling storytelling. Our story begins on a crisp autumn morning in Washington, D.C., where the golden leaves danced in the gentle breeze, creating a picturesque scene that belied the tension about to unfold. Officer Michael Thompson, a veteran of the Metropolitan Police Department, sat in his patrol car, his eyes scanning the quiet suburban street with practiced precision. Known throughout the department for his meticulous attention to detail and unwavering dedication to maintaining order, Thompson had built a reputation as one of the most efficient officers on the force. Yet beneath his professional exterior lay deeply ingrained biases that had taken root during his formative years in a predominantly white neighborhood where racial stereotypes were casually accepted as truth. Thompson's cruiser idled at the intersection of Maple Avenue and 3rd Street when he noticed a black man walking briskly along the sidewalk dressed in a tailored navy blue suit. The man carried a leather briefcase and wore expensive-looking shoes, but these details barely registered in Thompson's mind. His focus zeroed in on the color of the man's skin and his presence in what Thompson considered an affluent neighborhood. Without conscious thought, his hand moved to activate the patrol car's lights, and he pulled over to the curb behind the pedestrian. The officer's mind raced with preconceived notions and unfounded suspicions as he stepped out of his vehicle. He approached the man with an air of authority, his hand resting on his holstered weapon, though he would later deny feeling any real threat. "Excuse me, sir," Thompson called out, his voice carrying a mixture of command and condescension. "I need to see some identification." The words felt justified in his mind, despite the absence of any observable wrongdoing or suspicious behavior. Unbeknownst to Officer Thompson, the man he had stopped was Marcus Johnson, Deputy Director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Johnson had spent years navigating the complex corridors of power, rising through the ranks with intelligence and determination. His position demanded discretion, and he often chose to walk to work from his nearby home, relishing the brief moments of solitude before immersing himself in matters of national security. This morning's walk had been no different, until the flashing lights of the police cruiser shattered the tranquility of his routine. As Johnson turned to face the officer, his expression remained calm and composed, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of recognition regarding the situation's implications. He had encountered racial profiling before, but never with such blatant disregard for protocol or probable cause. The irony of being stopped by a police officer while serving as one of the nation's highest-ranking intelligence officials was not lost on him. Yet rather than immediately asserting his authority, Johnson decided to observe how far this encounter would progress before revealing his true identity. The air between them crackled with unspoken tension as Officer Thompson maintained his stance, his training warring with his prejudices. He demanded to know why Johnson was in the neighborhood, despite the absurdity of requiring an explanation for simply walking down a public street. The officer's questions grew increasingly pointed, his tone more aggressive, as he struggled to justify his actions. Each word he spoke dug a deeper hole of professional misconduct, while simultaneously exposing the systemic issues that had allowed such behavior to persist within law enforcement. Marcus Johnson stood with remarkable composure as Officer Thompson continued his line of questioning, each demand for information growing more insistent and accusatory. Rather than immediately presenting his credentials, Johnson chose to engage the officer in conversation, his measured responses designed to reveal the depth of the situation's injustice. "Officer, I'm simply taking my usual morning walk to work," he explained, his voice steady and professional. "I've lived in this neighborhood for over 5 years and have never encountered any issues until now." Thompson's response revealed the cracks in his professional demeanor as he shifted uncomfortably, clearly aware that his stop lacked legitimate grounds, yet unwilling to back down. People in this area have reported suspicious activity, he stated vaguely, avoiding direct eye contact. I'm just doing my job, making sure everyone is where they're supposed to be. The circular nature of his reasoning became apparent even to himself, as Johnson pressed gently but firmly for specific details about what exactly constituted suspicious behavior in this instance. The encounter took a dramatic turn when Johnson requested that the officer explain his probable cause for the stop. Thompson's face flushed as he struggled to articulate any concrete reason beyond vague references to neighborhood complaints that he couldn't substantiate. You understand, officer, that stopping someone based solely on their race violates both department policy and constitutional rights, Johnson continued, his tone remaining professional but carrying an edge of authority that began to unsettle Thompson. The officer's body language shifted noticeably as he started to realize the gravity of his mistake. When Thompson attempted to deflect by asking for identification, Johnson produced his driver's license but deliberately withheld his CIA credentials for the moment. Instead, he engaged the officer in a discussion about proper police procedure and civil rights protections. "I teach seminars on constitutional law for federal agencies," Johnson mentioned casually, watching as understanding began to dawn in Thompson's eyes. The officer's radio crackled with background chatter from dispatch, providing an awkward soundtrack to the unfolding realization that he had made a grave error in judgment. The tension reached its peak when Johnson finally decided to reveal his true identity, pulling out his official CIA identification card. The transformation in Thompson's demeanor was immediate and profound as the full weight of his actions crashed down upon him. His initial skepticism gave way to stark terror as he processed the implications of having detained one of the nation's most powerful intelligence officials. The confident authority he had displayed mere moments ago evaporated, leaving behind a visibly shaken individual struggling to maintain composure. "I'm sorry, sir, I didn't realize," Thompson stammered, his voice trembling as he fumbled with his radio to call for supervisory assistance. The tables had turned completely as Johnson now held all the power in the situation yet maintained his composed demeanor. "Let's use this as a teaching moment, officer," he suggested, his tone firm but not vindictive. "Your department needs to address these systemic issues before they result in more serious consequences." The irony wasn't lost on either man, as Thompson, who had initially approached with such certainty, now found himself desperately seeking guidance from his superiors. The aftermath of the incident sent shockwaves through both the police department and the intelligence community. Internal Affairs launched an immediate investigation into Officer Thompson's conduct, while the police chief personally apologized to Deputy Director Johnson, emphasizing their commitment to reforming departmental practices. Thompson faced disciplinary action, including mandatory suspension pending further review of his service record. However, the repercussions extended far beyond individual accountability, as the incident sparked crucial conversations about institutional racism within law enforcement agencies. Johnson's decision to handle the situation with measured professionalism rather than immediate retribution demonstrated remarkable leadership. He worked closely with both the police department and civil rights organizations to develop comprehensive training programs aimed at addressing implicit bias in law enforcement. These initiatives included workshops led by experts in racial sensitivity and constitutional law, featuring first-hand accounts from officers who had successfully overcome their own prejudices. The program's success metrics showed promising results, with participating officers reporting increased awareness and improved community relations. The media coverage of the incident brought national attention to the persistent issue of racial profiling, generating widespread public discourse about necessary reforms in policing practices. Major news outlets featured interviews with Johnson, who used these platforms to advocate for systemic change rather than focusing on personal grievances. His approach earned respect across political lines as he emphasized solutions over blame. The incident also prompted Congress to revisit stalled legislation concerning police accountability measures, with several key provisions gaining renewed support. Within the intelligence community, the event served as a catalyst for enhanced collaboration between federal agencies and local law enforcement. New protocols were established to facilitate better communication and mutual understanding between these entities, recognizing that trust between different branches of public service benefits national security interests. Johnson spearheaded the creation of an interagency task force dedicated to addressing racial disparities in law enforcement practices, bringing together experts from various fields to develop innovative approaches to community policing. Perhaps most significantly, the incident inspired grassroots movements in communities across the nation. Citizen advisory boards gained momentum as residents demanded greater oversight of police activities, while mentorship programs connecting young officers with diverse community leaders flourished. The combination of top-down reforms and bottom-up activism created a fertile ground for meaningful change, though all parties acknowledged that true transformation would require sustained effort and commitment. The long-term impact of the incident manifested in ways that transcended immediate policy changes, affecting individuals on both sides of the encounter profoundly. Officer Thompson, after completing his mandated training and suspension, emerged with a transformed perspective on his role in law enforcement. He became an advocate for change within his department, leading peer discussions about implicit bias and developing new protocols for traffic stops and pedestrian checks. His journey from perpetrator to reformer demonstrated the potential for personal growth and redemption, even in the face of severe professional missteps. Deputy Director Johnson's handling of the situation elevated his standing within both the intelligence community and civil rights circles. His measured response and subsequent leadership in promoting reform earned him recognition as a statesman who could bridge divides between powerful institutions and marginalized communities. The incident added depth to his already distinguished career, as he leveraged his position to implement lasting changes in how government agencies interact with citizens of all backgrounds. His annual reports to Congress began incorporating sections dedicated to diversity and inclusion efforts, setting new standards for transparency and accountability in federal agencies. The community where the incident occurred experienced a renaissance of sorts in police-community relations. Regular town hall meetings replaced tense standoffs as residents and officers engaged in constructive dialogue about building trust and understanding. Local businesses implemented programs to support minority-owned enterprises, while schools introduced curriculum elements focused on cultural competence and social justice. The neighborhood became a model for other communities grappling with similar challenges, demonstrating that meaningful change was possible when all stakeholders committed to progress. Law enforcement agencies nationwide adopted elements of the training programs developed in response to the incident, incorporating virtual reality simulations that placed officers in scenarios challenging their biases. These technological advancements, combined with traditional training methods, proved particularly effective in helping officers recognize and address their unconscious prejudices. The success of these programs led to their expansion into other areas of public service, including education and healthcare, creating a ripple effect of positive change across multiple sectors of society. Perhaps most tellingly, the incident influenced a new generation of law enforcement officers who entered the profession with a heightened awareness of their responsibility to serve all members of their communities equally. Police academies began attracting candidates specifically motivated by the desire to contribute to reform efforts, resulting in a gradual shift in departmental culture. This evolution in mindset promised to create a more equitable future where encounters between officers and citizens would be guided by mutual respect rather than suspicion. As we reach the conclusion of this powerful narrative presented by one storyteller, we invite you to reflect on the profound lessons embedded within this true account of justice and transformation. The story of Deputy Director Marcus Johnson and Officer Michael Thompson serves as a testament to the enduring human capacity for growth and change, even in the face of deeply entrenched societal challenges. Their encounter reminds us that every interaction carries the potential for either perpetuating harmful cycles or breaking them through courage, integrity, and understanding. We at One Storyteller believe that stories like these hold the power to inspire real-world change and foster greater empathy among our viewers. Your engagement with this narrative, whether through sharing your thoughts in the comments or discussing it with others, helps amplify its message and impact. We encourage you to subscribe to our channel, where we continue to bring you compelling stories that challenge perspectives and spark meaningful conversations about the world we share. For those who found this story particularly moving, please consider supporting our mission by becoming a member of the A1 Storyteller community. Your support enables us to produce more content that sheds light on important social issues and promotes understanding across diverse experiences. Remember that every story we share has the potential to create ripples of change, extending far beyond our screens and into the fabric of our society. Join us again soon for another powerful narrative where truth meets transformation and stories become catalysts for progress. Until then, let this account of redemption and reform remind you of the power we each hold to make a difference in the lives of others. Thank you for being part of the A1 Storyteller family, where every story matters and every voice counts in shaping a more just and compassionate world.